Combat YouTube? It's Charles here, and with this channel, one of my goals is to help people that may not be into comic book collecting get into comic book collecting and not be so intimidated by it. Now, one of the most intimidating things about comic books is the serial nature. Nowadays, stories are written more like incomplete chapters where you have to have this book and this book and this book to understand this book. I noticed that as I go back and look at comics from the past, while there was a larger overarching narrative, for the most part, each story could be enjoyed by itself. And so the problem begins with, where do I hop in? And I think if you are wanting to get into the Witchblade series from Image Comics and Top Cow, number 14 is the place to hop on. Of course, you can always go back and get the trade paperback versions of the individual books and catch up that way, which I highly suggest. But if you are a monthly comic book reader, you just want a good place to hop in on what's going on currently, this is it. It follows Sarah Pazzini, who is a cop. She's trying to solve her father's murder by pretending to be a corrupt cop, kind of working as a double, triple agent, almost as a vigilante within the police force. And she stumbles across, during a raid, she stumbles across the Witchblade, which is kind of a symbiote that gives her enhanced powers and kind of takes over her body. And so that's where we are. The first arc ended with her face off with billionaire Kenneth Irons, and she stopped his plan from taking the Witchblade. And so we're starting a fresh new arc that is veering away from the origin of it, how she got the Witchblade, what was it, what was behind it, who was pulling the strings in the background. And we start with a fresh story about serial killings that are going on in the city, and it's of of the homeless population right now. And an interesting thing here is you see the text, the speech bubbles right here. Usually, when it's Sarah speaking, it's normal speech bubbles, but here we have the thought triangles, because she's not really speaking, and it's an orange text, and we're not told for quite a while whose perspective we're looking at the story from. And we find out that it's from the perspective of this homeless girl who discovered a dead body and actually called the cops, but she ends up being hassled over it and brought in. And Sarah is kind of playing the role of protector because her new partner, who she's having issues with, is being too aggressive and trying to pin the murders on her, and Sarah wants to protect her. And throughout this inner monologue, in the interactions, we see that she is a streetwise young person who understands justice systems, ins and outs, and the way that things work in a way that she shouldn't have to as a child. And she sees that Sarah is a different kind of police officer that she might be able to trust. And that's all I'm going to give you of this. I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to be able to go to your comic book store, pick this up, and enjoy it. Not hear my secondhand reading of it with my particular biases or whatever. And the joy of comic book collecting, I think a lot of people, they like to collect covers, they like to get into the controversy of things, and I see a lot of YouTube channels that are just focused on things they don't like. And to me, comic books are about joy, it's about discovery, it's about escape. And I don't want to rob you of that by giving you blow by blow, but let's just say that the storyline is interconnected. It does take a supernatural turn, very action packed. One cool scene here, I will spoil it a little bit, but and the final in the final act, we see a lawyer going up to the courthouse, and he's kind of a sleazy guy. We can tell by his inner monologue, and he is beset upon by a sentient statue that comes alive and slices him in half. So, I mean, that's the type of action that you're going to get, along with deep story and lore. And number 14 is as good a place as any to hop onto this story if you can't get a hold of the trade paperbacks. So that's it. Keep it short today. Thank you for watching. And let me know in the comments if you're reading Witchblade, what you think about it, or if you read the originals. I actually have the originals from the 1990s, number 1 through 4. They were gifted to me, and so I'm going to go back and read those, and I may do a retro review, or maybe a comparison on the old and new, because with this new series they did, I like the fact that it was a complete reset. So a lot of the origin story that is covered here is covered in the original, but the details are different. And so it's kind of an alternate look of the lore of Witchblade. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books. You know I am. I'm out.